Media. I know the Gaston Gazette's going to be using this as a part of their reporting, and so they couldn't be here today, but they're still going to be running a story. I want to thank Chief Connor and those who have come and to be here and support. We're here to talk about post-traumatic stress disorder in the lives of our military and our law enforcement, the people who serve us, the people who are investing into our communities, not just with dollars, but with their entire life and their families. I want to start by just quickly talking about post-traumatic syndrome. What is it? Post-traumatic syndrome is something that's frequently misunderstood or just not understood at all. But essentially, it boils down to how we respond to stress and trauma. As human beings, we all respond by either running away, running to it, or freezing. And so fight, flight, or freeze is the common conversation with it. Our law enforcement and military are already people who are given to run to it. They fight. When trauma happens, when stress happens, when a situation occurs, they're the kind of people who are already pre-wired to go to the problem instead of from the problem. Well, the body also responds by releasing hormones that feed and enhance that fight, flight, or freeze scenario. In post-traumatic syndrome, in PTSD, what happens is that response gets stuck. It becomes a response that's no longer happening in that environment of that situation, but it now becomes a response that's happening in situations that make no sense. And its most extreme forms, our military and our police are phenomenally good. And by extreme, I mean where it leaves a person dysfunctional. When an officer or a person in our military is becoming dysfunctional in their job, our police and our military do an incredible job of recognizing those symptoms and getting that person help. But as a police chaplain for 17 years and a pastor for 20 years, I've noticed that there is a much larger population of people who are dealing with PTSD in a very different way. It's a more subtle way. The two common symptoms are an inability to attach, emotional detachment, and hyperarousal. And so what you have, for instance, are police officers. Every day our police officers engage in multiple 10 to 20 events per day that cause them to have to intentionally think about what I'm supposed to do to not get shot, what I'm supposed to do to not get run over a car, what I'm supposed to do to make sure the people I'm interacting with are safe. 10 to 20 times a day, they literally go through a planned process that they have been taught to do to keep themselves safe and everybody they're dealing with safe. Now, I would venture to say there's not a person in this room except our officers who go through a planned process of how not to get shot potentially ever in their life, much less 10 to 15 times. So every time they do that, it may not be as big as one of our veterans who was in the middle of a battle in Fallujah. It may not be as noticeable as that, but it's the same stress response. And it creates this long-term post-traumatic syndrome symptom that begins to affect their relationships with their spouse, their wife, their husband, their children, their friends. It begins to make them feel isolated and alone. It begins to create some skepticism within their life. And that's not the quality of life that the rest of us have. The quality of life that the rest of us have is not affected by the steady drip of the kind of stress that our officers and our military have had to endure because they are there for us. And so what we decided to do as a church is to not just let that lay as a norm. We want to address the stigma so that officers and our veterans go get help. There's no reason for your quality of life to be affected. And there's no shame in that. We're going to have someone speak to that in a minute. Second, so that we can give the finances they need to get that help, to help provide, to offset. Our police departments have things in place to help officers. They are there. But the limit of private insurance and even the limit of what's there can stand in the way. And so we want to make sure they get all the help they need. They get every visit they need. And so that's what this is all about. Dare to Act as a scholarship fund to provide the resources to incentivize those in our law enforcement community, those in our military community, to not simply be satisfied with the quality of life that has been created by serving us. We don't want them to be satisfied with that because the rest of us would never be satisfied with that. And so we want to provide the resources to help them get that that counseling, the therapy, the evidence-based therapy that you're going to hear about in a minute. We want to provide the resources, and we want to provide the encouragement for them to get it. Second, we're doing an event called Dare to Act. The scholarship fund is called Dare to Act Scholarship Fund. And we're doing an event called Dare to Act on April 22nd, where we're inviting everyone, current or former, police, military, to come together, and we're going to have a crazy, awesome shooting event, 3-gun contest, skeet shooting contest, all kind of just awesome fun. Blackstone Shooting Sports has come alongside of us. You're going to hear from them to make that happen. And so the guys that participate in that, the women that participate in that, it's a $50 entrance fee, but that $50 entrance fee is 100% donation to the scholarship fund. And so if you participate in this event, you're literally going to be helping your brothers and sisters get the help they need to have the quality of life that they are owed for their service to us. And so if you're in the military, if you're one of our current former military, current former police, man, we sure hope you'll come out to this event. You got a barbecue lunch and all the fun you could ever imagine, and you're going to be able to help people as you do it. So with that, I want to introduce you to a few folks. Chad Hawkins is Gaston County's newest sheriff. We're really excited he's here to talk to you about the perspective of PTSD, not from a pastor and chaplain, but the perspective from one who's been in law enforcement his whole life, just about his whole adult life. Rachel Demar from Blackstone Shooting Sports is going to talk about why they're getting behind this, why they think it's important. And Laura Gundel with New Hope Counseling is coming with a perspective of what the evidence-based therapies are that they and others provide, and what a person can expect if they'll get involved in it. So with that, I want to introduce Chad Hawkins, and come on up.
Thanks, Pastor. Well, good afternoon. My name is Chad Hawkins, and as Pastor Rammell said, I am the newest sheriff here in Gaston County. And when Austin began talking to me about his vision for the Dare to Act, I got really excited because that's something I've been focused on for many years in my law enforcement career, is the mental health aspect and the PTSD. So I'm excited to be part of it. I want our brothers and sisters in law enforcement and all of public safety and our military to really get involved in this and get your families and friends involved in it. So with everything I want to talk about today, I want to focus on my past experiences in law enforcement, not only law enforcement, but public safety. So I've been in public safety over 32 years with fire and police. And none of us wake up one day and say, hey, I want to have mental health issues. I want to have substance abuse issues or any of that stuff. And a lot of times those things go together. So today I want to focus on the public safety personnel and the increasing substance abuse deaths. That's something that we in public safety, with the drug problems that we have, the mental health problems, which a lot of it stem from the drug issues, we experience a lot of death scenes, and that begins to take a toll on public safety. Military folks, especially if they're at war, they have the same experiences. And a lot of times we are not free, or we don't feel free to really express those emotions. When I began law enforcement, something you did not talk about was your feelings or your emotions. And that is something now that we strongly encourage our personnel to talk about, because if not, they bottle it up inside and it comes out in another way. Generally, it's negative. So I think this is a great thing to bring awareness to this and to let people know it's okay. All of us experience issues in our life. All of us experience problems. So our respective counties and our municipalities, they do a good job in providing services for us. But this is something that goes well beyond that, where we can get additional treatment. Also, some individuals may not want to go through their municipality or their counties for that help. They may want to do it individually, and that's everyone's right to be able to do that. So I think this is great. It gives some additional services that we may not receive, or that they may not feel comfortable reaching out to receive. So I think that's a great thing. Officer safety and mental health, wellness for law enforcement, military, and all public safety, I would say, is so critical, because if we're not healthy, we cannot go out and serve the people that we took an oath to serve and protect. So it's very critical that we take care of our own mental health so that we can actually help other people. Because if we're not healthy, the results are not going to be good. We have to be focused in everything we do. So I want to encourage everyone to join us in this great event, and I thank Venture, and I thank all the other volunteers for helping out with this, and the media for being here. And so again, just ask everyone to come out and support this great cause, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you, and God bless.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for having us. First and foremost, on behalf of Blackstone, we would like to thank all of our former and active military and law enforcement for your service and sacrifice. We are honored to come alongside Venture Church, not only for a great cause, but for this fun and engaging shooting event. Participants will get the opportunity to compete in a fun 3-gun competition, skeet shooting, and other competitive events with the hopes of winning the grand prize. In conjunction with all of the ammunition and firearms and the Glock 45 giveaways, Blackstone will be providing a large team of professional range management, as safety is our #1 priority. And lastly, we are elated to collaborate with other potential sponsors and have the opportunity to market their services to hundreds of thousands of people across the greater Charlotte region for such a great cause. So we're super excited for this opportunity and excited to see everyone out there. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Laura Gundel. I own New Hope Counseling and Wellness in Gastonia. And I want to address the clinical side to this and to emphasize that PTSD is something that is eminently treatable. Most people think they've got it and they've got it forever, and that is not the case. New Hope Counseling and Wellness, my office, we see and we treat PTSD daily. So while I would love for it to be less common than it is, this is something that a lot of people struggle with. And I want to be able to open that and let you know that you're not alone. The situations that our first responders experience have a profound effect on their whole selves. Most people aren't taught how to deal with the stress from all the anxiety that we feel from extreme circumstances. And seeking out a therapist helps us learn how to deal with what we feel. It's perfectly normal to have emotions and things like this. Therapists are teachers. That's our job. We teach you how to deal with these situations as they're coming up, and hopefully teach you in case future situations are able, come up too, and we're able to kind of manage that and guide you through. Therapists teach us and help us provide counseling or medication, or we give you referrals to specialists to be able to get medication. First responders should have access to these services, whether it's through private counseling or through departments. I know specifically the Gaston Police Department provides counseling too, and there aren't any repercussions for seeking out. It is encouraged. This is something that I want to stress that everybody knows, that they can ask for help and be able to receive it. Some of the common symptoms of PTSD can include feeling easily startled or feeling like you're always on guard for danger, kind of hypervigilance, sometimes impulsive or self-destructive behavior, or having outbursts of anger. A lot of people have trouble sleeping or trouble concentrating, and oftentimes they can feel overwhelming feelings of guilt or shame for having these feelings, not even acting on them, but just having the feelings. Counseling and therapy is here to help manage feelings of grief or anger, and teaches us how to cope with and manage feelings of trauma without harming ourselves or our relationships to others, to our families, or resorting to substance abuse or feelings of suicidality. I feel that getting help for yourself is a strong action. It's a very brave action, and one of the best investments that you can make. So please reach out to us. Dare to Act is here for you. Thank you.
So I want to just reiterate that what we're talking about that's driving the creation of this fund is not the stereotypical case where a person, a family member, an employer is able to quickly recognize there's something going on with this person and we got to get this fixed. Our police and military are amazing at identifying the officers that are being locked up and becoming dysfunctional in their job because of a highly traumatic event. What we're talking about is the slow drip, the steady, constant stress response of the day-to-day job of serving us that then shows itself not in a dysfunctional manner with that officer and how that officer carries out their job, but typically shows itself within their relationships, their quality of life, that goes on beyond their time in service. And so our goal is to come alongside these departments, come alongside our branches of military, and support those who have supported us with the additional help that they need to get to make sure they get all the way through these processes, these counseling, these treatments that have proven themselves to work. It's called evidence-based therapy. And there's all kinds of different ones available. And they're there for you, and they will help. So with that, I want to open up the floor for questions. Steve's going to bring the mic to you so our online audience can hear your question. And we can just banter back and forth between you. And whichever person you want to ask, we'll get them to step right up.
Is there a goal that you're trying to reach as far as fundraising?
Yeah, my long-term goal is for this to become a foundation so that it generates enough revenue that this is something that outlasts me, this church. It continues to provide. And so my ultimate goal is to see this generate at least $1 million so that the funds are there to earn the interest to continue pouring back. Short-term goal is to get enough in there to start answering the need now. So we're not going to wait around to build up enough to generate longevity. The need is now. So we have one sponsor already. We're looking for more, and not just to cover the expense of the event, but more importantly, to build this foundation. And so we are just excited to partner with whatever company wants to come in and realize your company's success is in part because of the men and women in our military and the men and women in our law enforcement community that have created this country for your company to be a success. And so this is a great opportunity for you to give back to them, and we hope you'll be excited to do it. Keep going. All right, cool. Well, we'll break up. You guys, if you want to talk to anybody individually, you're more than welcome to do that. I want to just add one piece that if I can. Our ultimate belief as a church is that it's the gospel of Jesus Christ that changes lives. But the gospel teaches us to love God and love one another. And so as churches in this community, one of the ways that you can demonstrate the gospel is in how you love those who serve you every day. I was blown away as a police chaplain on my first ride-along. My very first ride-along. My assumption is there's really nothing that goes on during the day. But on my very first ride-along, when I got in the car with an officer, they have a screen inside of their car. And inside that car, when you have an officer that's not on a call, it's green. And when they're on a call, it's red. And the entire night, that thing stayed red. All night long, they were responding to needs in your life, needs in your community. And so I hope as churches, we would love to have partnerships with other churches that want to come in and be a part of this. I would hope that you would see this opportunity that you have to demonstrate the love of Christ in your community with those who are demonstrating love to you every day, even when you don't even know what's going on. And so thank you for your time. And if y'all want to meet individually, go for it. Thanks.